Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to take complex topics and really get to the heart of them for you. Sort of a shortcut to understanding.
Exactly. Quick insights, easy to digest.
And today, we are plunging into Jessie Inchauspe's big one, Glucose Revolution, the life-changing power of balancing your blood sugar. This deep dive is brought to you by Ben's Book Summaries.
Right. It's a book that's really captured attention.
It really has.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into it. The main thing Inchauspe talks about is these glucose spikes and then the dips that happen after we eat.
Yeah, that's the absolute core. And what's really interesting is she stresses this isn't just a thing for people with diabetes. The argument is pretty much everyone experiences these swings, especially with foods high in starch or sugar, particularly if there's no fiber involved.
Like breakfast cereal, right. She mentions that study.
That 23andMe study, yeah, was pretty shocking. Showed healthy people, totally normal people, spiking into pre-diabetic or even diabetic ranges just from a bowl of cereal.
Wow. That's eye-opening. And she links these spikes and dips to immediate feelings, stuff we might just brush off.
Exactly, like suddenly feeling ravenous or getting those intense cravings.
Yeah, or that afternoon slump, the fatigue, brain fog.
Moodiness, even feeling anxious, things you might not connect to your food at all.
But those are just the immediate things, aren't they?
Yeah.
The book goes into the longer-term picture, too.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where it gets maybe more concerning, these constant ups and downs, this glucose roller coaster.
Yeah.
She connects it to weight gain, definitely.
Right.
And increased risk for type 2 diabetes, obviously, but also heart disease, cognitive decline. Potential links to Alzheimer's are being explored.
It's like this central thing impacting so many areas.
It really seems that way. Increased cancer risk is mentioned, depression, skin problems.
I mean, acne or eczema.
Yeah, exactly. Nut issues, too, which are so common. Even fertility stuff like PCOS and fatty liver disease. It paints a picture of glucose stability being kind of foundational.
And for her, this wasn't just academic, right? She had her own story.
Yes, absolutely. Her recovery from a really serious spinal injury was apparently the catalyst. She started noticing that when her glucose was more stable, she just felt better overall. That personal experience really drove her research.
That makes it so much more compelling. Okay, so let's dig into the science a bit. Why does this happen? Glucose is just energy, right, for our cells.
It is, yeah. It's the main fuel. Our mitochondria, those little powerhouses in our cells, they run on glucose.
So what goes wrong during a spike? Too much fuel.
Kind of. When there's a sudden flood of glucose, a few damaging things can happen. One is called glycation excess sugar, basically sticking to proteins and gumming them up.
Okay.
Then there's oxidative stress, too many free radicals being produced, and both of those feed into inflammation throughout the body.
So it's like cellular stress, basically. And then insulin steps in. What's its job?
Right. Insulin's released by the pancreas to deal with that rising sugar. Its main job is to get glucose out of the blood and into storage. First stop is the liver and muscles, stored as glycogen.
Like a short-term energy reserve.
Exactly. But those stores are limited. Once they're full, the excess glucose, well, it gets converted into fat for longer-term storage. And here's a key thing. While insulin levels are high, your body's basically blocked from burning stored fat. It's in storage mode, not burning mode.
So high glucose, high insulin fat storage, and prevents fat burning. That makes a lot of sense for weight gain.
Precisely. And over time, if this happens constantly, your cells can become less responsive to insulin that's insulin resistance. It's a vicious cycle.
What about fructose? The book mentions that too. Is it different?
It is, yeah. It's processed mainly by the liver. And that pathway seems more likely to lead directly to fat storage in the liver itself. And it can also drive insulin resistance. So sometimes, sugary foods with both glucose and fructose can be metabolically tougher than just starchy ones.
Okay, that's a really helpful overview of the problem and the mechanics behind it. The book is also packed with stories, quotes, things that seem to really connect with readers.
Oh, definitely. The testimonials right at the start are quite powerful. You've got people like Heather managing menopause symptoms, losing weight.
And Bernadette reversing type 2 diabetes in just months? That's huge.
It really is. It shows these aren't just like tiny tweaks. And there's Fatima with weight loss and fewer migraines, and Laura, whose acne cleared up, thyroid levels normalized.
Tamara, the cancer survivor, seeing better blood tests. Lucy, with PCOS, regulating her cycle and getting pregnant. Dovra, who has type 1 diabetes, improving her control and mood. It's such a wide range.
It really underscores how getting glucose under control can impact so many different health areas. It's not just one thing.
And the analogies she uses are great for explaining it. I like the plot twist ones.
Yeah, the idea that we're kind of clueless passengers, but also the pilots of our bodies.
Exactly. And glucose is this big control lever we didn't realize we had.
It's a good way to frame it. Empowering, gives you a sense of agency.
And her own quote about her accident, dividing her life in two before and after, it makes her whole quest feel very real.
Absolutely. It wasn't just data for her, it was personal. And then her experiments with the continuous glucose monitor, the CGM.
Right, testing nachos, beer versus wine, even M&Ms.
Yeah, seeing in real time how different things affected her, it makes the science much more relatable. Like, who knew the timing of eating candy could matter?
And the Jerry the Sprout thing, explaining photosynthesis.
Yeah. It's a neat way to ground it all, reminding us glucose is fundamental to life itself.
She also talks about why we crave sweet things, the evolutionary dopamine hit.
Understanding it's biological, not just lack of willpower, can be helpful for people, I think.
Then there's the trains, toast, and Tetris analogy for what happens during a spike.
Right. Energy uses the trains, glycogen storage is stacking toast, and then dealing with the overflow is like playing Tetris, eventually turning it into fat. It's very visual.
Super clear. And her big realization, how I feel right now, is intimately linked to the spikes and dips of my glucose curve. That's kind of the whole thesis, isn't it?
That really sums it up, connecting those immediate feelings, fatigue, cravings directly to blood sugar.
What about the sink and pipe analogy for food order?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Eating carbs first is like dumping them straight down the pipe, the intestine, for fast absorption and a quick glucose rush.
But if you have fiber first...
Like vegetables, the sink, it slows everything down. The carbs enter the pipe more gradually. The story of Jas adding that fattoush salad before her pasta is a perfect example. Flattened her curve, reduced her cravings.
So it's not just what you eat, but when you eat it within the meal.
Exactly. Strategy, not just restriction.
And this challenges the whole calorie is a calorie idea, too.
Big time. Flattening the curve, even with similar calories, can lead to more fat loss. She cites that UC San Francisco study backing this up. It's about the metabolic effect of the calories.
Makes sense. And Marie's story about reactive hypoglycemia.
Yeah, that was powerful. Stabilizing her glucose eliminated her symptoms, the constant need to snack. It shows this goes beyond weight or diabetes.
And the cornflakes study again. Even healthy people getting huge spikes from typical breakfast food.
It really hammers home that this applies to most of us. Like Olivia finding out her healthy fruit smoothie was causing massive spikes compared to a savory breakfast.
Right, blending fruit breaks down the fiber, basically.
Yep. And Amanda, the self-proclaimed health nut, getting gestational diabetes, realizing dried fruit wasn't the innocent snack she thought.
It shows healthy labels can be misleading for glucose control.
Totally. Just because it's organic or natural doesn't mean it won't spike you. Agave syrup is a classic example. Lower glycemic index, sure, but the high fructose can actually be worse metabolically than table sugar for some aspects.
You really have to look deeper than the marketing.
You do. And even for someone like Lucy with type 1 diabetes, applying these hacks significantly improved her control and quality of life. It shows the principles are broadly applicable.
So, bringing it back to our listeners, how is this directly relevant? What's the takeaway for them?
Well, think about those common complaints. Fatigue, cravings, mood swings, poor sleep, skin issues.
Things lots of people experience.
Exactly. The book suggests, hey, maybe these aren't random. Maybe they're linked to unseen glucose spikes and dips.
And the good news is, the book offers practical steps, right? These hacks.
Yeah, and that's the key. They're generally not super complicated or restrictive. Things like food order, adding vinegar, putting clothes on your carbs with fiber or fat, moving after eating.
Simple strategies.
Relatively simple, yeah. And the potential payoff seems significant based on the community feedback. More energy, fewer cravings, better sleep, clearer skin, just feeling better overall.
That sounds pretty appealing.
And it's not about perfection either. That's important. It's about progress. Even small changes can make a difference. It's about understanding your own body better.
So it's empowering, really, giving people tools to manage their own health based on how their body actually works.
Couldn't have said it better.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the core message seems crystal clear. Understanding your glucose levels and taking steps to balance them can have a really huge impact. Short-term feeling better, long-term health benefits.
And Glucose Revolution offers a practical, science-based toolkit, those hacks, to help you flatten those curves and avoid the downsides of the roller coaster.
So, Maybe take a second now and think.
Yeah.
Do any of those symptoms sound familiar? Could managing glucose be relevant for your own health goals?
And if this has sparked your interest, if you want to dive deeper into the strategies and the why behind them, definitely check out Jessie Inchauspe's book, Glucose Revolution. It's a valuable resource.
Definitely. And we'll leave you with a final thought. What's one small change, just one you could maybe try today based on all this?
Yeah.
A savory breakfast, a walk after lunch, adding some greens first. What difference might that single step make for you?
Something to mull over.
Indeed. This deep dive was brought to you by Ben's Book Summaries. Thanks for joining us.